Democratic women of Dallas County pay tribute today for the 7th consecutive time to the late President John F. Kennedy on the anniversary of his birthday. He has not arrived, so we will continue with our program, and if he should arrive, we'll call on him. But at this time, may I present to you Representative Dick Reed.
Now, liberation of the oppressed in the 1960s. I think as we look forward to the 1970s, those who will continue to lead in this fight to liberate the oppressed.
At this time, the only operational project utilizing performance contracting is in Texarkana, Arkansas. And it appears from the first results, and it has only been in operation this year, this school year, it appears from the early results achieved by the contractor that the students have learned a great deal more than by more traditional teaching methods and procedures, and that the Texarkana schools plan to expand or turnkey the program into additional schools next year.
For the past year or two, we've been considering the possibility of making a move that would decrease the number of games that are played played in Dallas. Professional basketball, by the high cost of operation, necessitates playing a large number of games. So this has constituted a problem in a town such as Dallas, in that we have so many other activities and competition that takes place. Dallas and Fort Worth being so close together, it was a natural move to include Fort Worth as a hometown of our franchise. Coupled with this, Fort Worth has a tremendous facility to play. We feel that although the attendance this past year of our games played in Fort Worth were not anything to brag about, it was enough indication that if this became a Texas franchise, a franchise that was hometown to Fort Worth, that our attendance would justify this move.
Fort Worth is delighted that the Dallas Chaparrals have changed their name to the Texas Chaparrals, designating a metropolitan or regional activity in the basketball field. With the cooperative efforts of the Chamber of Commerce of Dallas and Fort Worth, City Council of Dallas and Fort Worth, the Mayor of Dallas and Fort Worth, and the development of the regional airport, I think that this is a great step for the future development of bringing the metropolitan area together, and I know that basketball will be supported along with other major sports.
"17-year-old Roy Neal Ferguson graduated from Justin F. Kimball High School just 2 days ago, but already his destiny is determined by what he did the last 2 years. Under the tutelage of math teacher Mrs. Fred Elder, Roy chalked up an impressive, almost genius-like performance in original computer and higher math projects. He talked about his education.
I kind of enjoy learning new things. I'm one of those people who likes achievement and advancement, I guess. For the most part, I think other students my age, to some extent, are misunderstood. I think many of them are miscategorized. I think some of them are definitely lost, as some people say, but I think that they need a little understanding and help, because I know some of my friends I would class as confused. And what they need is just good counseling, because anybody can change, and I think everybody's capable of changing.
Though popular at school, Roy loves his family and home. We were there when he came home from high school for the last time. He proudly showed to Brother Jeff and parents the NASA Space Award and other honors recently won. The list is impressive and long. The Panasonic Award, the the International Science Fair, the local science fairs. Some call Roy brilliant, and he may well be, but we found him average when it comes to the things most teens like. His room is full of posters. He likes records. His personal computer project that took months left him time to think about the future and his generation. He spoke about the Vietnam War, but expressed a different opinion than some his age.
I don't believe I'd go into the Army. I would probably join the Peace Corps, more likely, or if I were drafted, possibly on the basis of a conscientious dissenter, I would go into another area rather than combat. I don't particularly approve of the present war. I think my ideas of what should be done are a little different from the average young person, because I feel that we should go in and get it over with and not while our time away.
Roy would like to attend SMU, but is open to the idea of a scholarship to any school recognized for courses in computer sciences. He will spend his summer, beginning Monday, working in SMU's computer department. Roy says math is his weak subject. His real love is history and the social sciences. No matter what Roy ends up doing, he will undoubtedly provide the kind of leadership this nation desperately needs.
Well, my hope for my generation is that in the end the majority will rule, as far as I feel like the majority is the group who should decide how our society goes. However, I hope that our so-called majority doesn't turn radical, because at this time, while I disagree with many things in the present society, I don't think it's as bad as many people say.
Some 12 feet, which will permit increasing the conservation pool of the reservoir.
Time we had Reverend Boudreaux, who was to make us or lead us in prayer.
Full opportunity is Americans. I think it is no coincidence that those people today look back and remember John F.
The wreath has been placed by 5 young people to symbolize the unique oneness of all the peoples of the world. This is a living tribute to a vibrant young man who inspired dedication toward a better world in the minds and hearts of young people of all nations. It is a time when all of us might well pause for a moment to remember and rededicate ourselves to a better understanding of our fellow men. At this
The project entitled Guaranteed Student Performance in Education and Training is an effort on the part of the Dallas Independent School District to bring into the educational enterprise in Dallas the expertise of business and industry to assist us in accelerating the learning of students who have been deficient in their learning in high school.
Now, you say deficient in learning. At the meeting today, there were mentioned 950 of these students. How are these students picked? What makes them eligible for such a program?
Well, the planners of the project have attempted to identify the students in five of our high schools, who are most deficient in reading and in mathematics skills. They have used the Iowa Test of Educational Development and the grades which these students made last fall in English and mathematics as indicators of their achievement.
After this week, when you try the age restriction, what then? What looks like your next step?
Probably the monitoring system.
To get parents in?
Yes. Have the parents come in and help look after the children.
What do the parents think of this?
Parents are all in favor of it, the ones that were here this morning.
Did you get any disagreement this morning from your age restrictions?
We had three.
Who said what?
They were against having to be with the children all the time, in other words. They didn't think that they should have to lead their children by the hand, 14-year-olds, so forth.
What's your attitude toward the kids who come in here now?
Well, I like all kids. I just think that they needed a little bit of discipline is all. And that needs to start in the home.
The thing that really comes to mind today is the fact that our greatest danger is really not from without, but our danger to the American country today is from within. We have people around stirring up dissension, defying law and order. We have people that no longer really understand the American tradition. And what we need to do is to reinstill that same American patriotism and that same love of country that really built our country and made America great.
What you're seeing down there is the portal to a tunnel at the Rainier Mesa at the Nevada test site. Yesterday, a defense-related or a weapons test was conducted in that tunnel. Now, it was in the low yield range, which means that it was no larger than 20 kilotons. 20 kilotons is the equivalent of 20,000 tons of TNT. Within an hour or two after the detonation, we had a seepage of radioactivity from the tunnel. Now, this is not too unusual an occurrence with tunnel shots. It is unusual with the majority of our shots, which are conducted at the bottom of drilled vertical shafts.
Now, you said it was a weapons test. Exactly what do you mean by that?
Well, I can't elaborate on that. All I can say that it was a weapons-related test. I cannot describe the purpose of the test. It was a Department of Defense test. Presumably, they will be putting out some information on it sometime down the road.
Is there any danger to anybody as a result of the seepage from the tunnel?
None at all. As a routine precaution for all of these tests, we always evacuate the area just in case we get a higher level of radioactivity than we'd like. But our policy is to expose no one to radiation if it can be avoided. Even workers who are employed and understand that they are taking some risk of exposure.
One of the expressions one hears most often here at the Nevada test site is the state of the art. And as I see it, that refers to three separate thought processes. The first is perhaps the skill with safety, which the Atomic Energy Commission
and the people here at the Nevada Test Site facility have been able to develop in their understanding of the nuclear explosion capabilities of this devastating, potentially grotesque, but potentially powerful friend of mankind. The second state-of-the-art deals with technicalities, with using nuclear explosions for things like channeling canals and tunneling under mountains and moving dirt, perhaps recovering minerals from under the surface of the earth. Also, the state-of-the-art refers to the nuclear arms race. In 1963, the United States and other nuclear powers signed an agreement saying they would not test nuclear weapons in the atmosphere because of radiation and because of fallout problems which could result from it. France and China didn't sign that treaty. Some say that Russia did not always observe it to the letter of the law. The Atomic Energy Commission officials intimate, although they don't say out loud, that they believe perhaps their program suffers substantial difficulties because they are restricted to following the rules of that treaty, because they do have to test just underground. The format of Operation Plowshare, the peaceful use of nuclear energy, is perhaps really an art form, man's highest endeavor, part of his desire to sculpt the face of the earth, to move mountains, to create canals where they are needed, to better his situation here on Earth. But still, touring this Nevada test site and seeing the devastating power of nuclear energy, one must never forget that nuclear energy is also the state of man's most deadly art. This is Jerry Taft.
Today is a historical red-letter day in Methodism in Texas. After today, there will be only one integrated United Methodist Conference in the Lone Star State, as opposed to the old white and black conference. The new conference will encompass a new 156,145 member body working under the same set of boards and commissions. The 1968 General Conference in Dallas voted out of existence the all-black central jurisdiction of the Methodist Church. This merger of the West and North Texas conferences is the culmination of plans to erase all traces of separation of races in the United Methodist Church. The merger was coordinated by Bishop Kenneth Pope of Dallas, with the assistance of Dr. Zan W. Holmes, Jr., West Texas District Superintendent. Dallas services at the First United Methodist Church tonight, just one of 5 such services across the state, which dissolved 96 years as a separate all-black Methodist annual conference. The official merger services tonight feature the traditional handshaking ceremony and the procession to follow. The ceremony will include both black and white Methodists. This will be the first time for many of the participants, both black and white, in which they have sat side by side with their fellow Christians and worship God in the same way, in the same church, as members of the same united body in Christ. The last vestige of the Civil War in our country seems to be ended. Art Sinclair, Channel 8 News, Dallas.
This will indeed be a true merger. We have 19 black churches that will be merging with the North Texas Conference. 6 of those churches will be a part of the new Metropolitan District. 13 of those churches will be a part of other districts within the North Texas Conference. This means that each district in the new conference will have at least one black church. So from that standpoint, it is a true merger.
We believe that this is one of the high points in church history. We feel that it's in line with the movement of the whole world. Throughout America, this kind of thing is taking place. We believe that this is according to the Word of God. We believe that it fulfills the interpretation of the Christian church. This is great reality tonight. It's great symbolism. And we have great hopes for what it will mean, not only to the Christian church in these parts, but the entire city and area.
The residents of all of Dallas's public housing, such as here in West Dallas, have been asked to withhold their rent starting Monday, June 1st. The group calling the rent strike is a group called the City Tenants Union, and they're protesting a number of so-called injustices by the Dallas Housing Authority. Dallas Housing Authority Director James L. Stevenson says such a proposed rent strike is a first for the Housing Authority, and he doesn't know what his official reaction will be. He says he'll cross that bridge when he comes to it. Dallas Legal Services attorney William Barbish is assisting the City Tenants Union, and he says at this point some 400 people have signed up to take part in the rent strike. But he does admit that the implementation of the controversial Brooke Amendment may have some denting effect in the strike. This Brooke Amendment is congressional legislation which limits the amount that can be charged by a housing authority to a tenant. It limits it to 25% of the tenant's income. That was the first demand of the City Tenants Union. Barbish says the threat of the strike did have an effect in causing the more rapid implementation of the Brooke Amendment. Stevenson says the Housing Authority had intended to implement the amendment all along, but was waiting for HUD regulations, which have come, and congressional appropriations for subsidy, which haven't yet come. But in either case, starting June 1st, Stevenson says 90% of the tenants will have a cut in their rent. Barbish and the Tenants Union say that also starting June 1st, the rent strike will go on. But both do agree that in either case, the results, whatever they may be, won't be terribly dramatic, and for sure, they won't be able to be really told for another week or 10 days. This is Teal Salon reporting.
Well, I see the selection of Dr. Nolan Estes is an outstanding school superintendent. I see the placing on the board of many individuals who are sensitive to the needs of education and who are committed to the proposition that Dallas shall have good education. I see the fruit of their work beginning to be harvested. I see kindergartens beginning, and next September we will have them in over 50 schools and in a very few years throughout the school system. I see the beginnings of a meaningful vocational education curriculum in the school system of Dallas that will serve the needs of the city and children that or young people that go to Dallas schools in a lot more constructive ways than has happened in the past. I see a general improvement coming up, but the beginnings of the last 3 years have sort of set the stage for even greater improvement in the years ahead.